With the rise of iBuyers like HomeLight, Open Door, even Zillow has a buying division, I'm hearing a lot of confusion on what they actually are and what the difference is between listing your house on the market or selling directly to a cash buyer. My name is Vayna Jerabek. I'm a real estate agent and real estate investor myself here in Seattle. My team buys houses for cash here in Washington. So having facilitated many successful transactions both ways, I can confidently say that listing and selling direct for cash are just two different selling options for a variety of scenarios. So let's talk about some of the key differences between these two methods. And if you still have questions by the end, feel free to drop a comment or contact me directly. There will be a link to my calendar in the description box below. But let's get into this. So number one difference between listing on the market or selling direct to a cash buyer is timing. Listing your house on the market can take time. Depending on the local market conditions, it can take several weeks or even months to find a buyer and complete the transaction. In contrast, selling to a cash buyer can typically be completed much faster, often within a few weeks or even days. When you go to the market, you have to worry about prepping, doing repairs, letting the whole world see and show the property. And so there's quite the time commitment of going on the market. Whereas if you sell directly to a buyer, you agree your price and terms up front, and all there's left to do is decide on a closing date. And because these buyers are coming in with cash, they can close super quick, 7 days, 14 days, it's really up to you. So that's number one. Number two is convenience. Listing a property on the market requires preparing the home for showings, hosting open houses, and dealing with potential buyer negotiations. This can be time-consuming, inconvenient, even stressful for you as the seller, especially if you're living in the property. And so selling to a cash buyer can be a more convenient option since we're open and oftentimes even prefer to purchase the property in its current condition without any repairs or renovations or contingencies needed on your end. Number three difference is price. So this is a big one. When listing your property on the market, you may be able to receive a higher price because you'll have access to a larger pool of potential buyers so that you know that everyone's seen it and you're getting the highest offer. You will end up paying real estate commissions and closing costs, which can reduce the overall profit, but at least you know that on the market, you're likely getting the highest price possible. While selling to a cash buyer typically involves fewer fees and commissions, the price offered may be lower than what you could receive on the open market because you are just shopping around to maybe one or two cash investors. So you're typically getting less when you go direct, but you're essentially sacrificing what could be your highest possible offer for ease and convenience of the sale. So that's convenience. Number four is certainty. When you sell to a cash buyer, the transaction is often a lot more certain since we as a buyer are not relying on financing to complete the purchase. There's like 99% chance we close. And so there's less risk of the deal falling through due to issues with like a traditional buyer financing. We as the buyer will even put down a non-refundable earnest money deposit in some cases for extra certainty that we're so sure that we'll close that here's $1,000 for free in case we don't. If you go to the market, you might deal with potential issues of traditional buyer financing, which can cause delays or even lead to the deal falling through. We probably see that the most where the buyer backs out right before closing because the lender couldn't get them final loan approval and they have that financing contingency in place, so the buyer is protected and they get to walk away with you as the seller left with nothing. It's usually the worst case scenario. So that's number four. Number five is conditions. Like we just mentioned, selling to a cash buyer may involve fewer contingencies or conditions than listing on the market. For example, we won't require a home inspection or appraisal, and so that really simplifies the transaction process. But this also means that with less contingencies, the seller may have less protection in transaction as you would when selling on the open market. Ultimately, the decision to list a property on the market or sell to a cash buyer will depend on your goals, circumstances, and our local market conditions. Like I said, we're able to help homeowners list their property or connect them with a cash offer. So as local real estate professionals here in Washington, we make it our job to analyze your property, hear your situation and goals, and work with you to consider the pros and cons of each method on your end and weigh them against your priorities to determine the best approach. So if you want to get started, there's a couple different ways for us to connect. There's a link below to fill out a form or share details on your property and your contact information, and me or my team will reach out within 24 hours. Or you can book a call on my calendar at a time of your choosing to chat with us and find out what the next steps for you are to start the process of selling your home. Whatever works best for your schedule and current situation, we're a resource to get you what you want and the time you want. So thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. Hit subscribe for more tips and tricks on selling in Seattle real estate, and we will talk to you soon.